I think I want to send my homeschool kid to public school so that they can finally have friends. What do you think? This is a question I get often, and my heart breaks for everybody involved in this situation. But what do I think? Let's get into it. I'm Jacqueline. This is Homeschool Hangout.xyz, where I, a veteran homeschooler of almost 2 decades, makes videos with tips and tricks to help you homeschool with peace and clarity and knowing some of the laws in California. If you want to support this channel, make sure you click and use my Amazon storefront if you're going to go shopping at Amazon. Doesn't change your prices, helps me out. Also, you can buy me a coffee. Number one, subscribe. But buy me a coffee. I've got transcript templates, report card templates, all kinds of things over there. Join my Facebook group. Find me on social media, all the things. And let's just get into it. I have seen yet another post, and I see them all the time, and they're one of a couple ways. They're either just, my kid doesn't have any friends, I'm thinking about putting them in public school so they can get friends, or my neurodivergent child doesn't know how to make friends very well. I want to put them in public school so they can make friends. And I just want to scream, stop, no, abort. This is not, may not do what you think it does. Okay, fully up front, I was not homeschooled. I was in public school pretty much my entire life. I did like 6 months in a Catholic school, which I loved. And all the rest of the time I was in public school around here. It didn't really help me make friends. And what do I mean? Those kids in your class may be your friends. They may end up being your friends. They may. They may also end up being your bullies. They may also end up being the people who ignore you. They may also be the people who seem like your best friends this year, but as soon as they're not sitting next to you every day, they don't seem to know who you are. And that can be heartbreaking as a kid. And as somebody who I've realized in adulthood, I'm neurodivergent. I'm pretty sure. I look at my children. I felt so lonely in public school. I did. I was in the same school district and school path for everything except 6 months, which means I was in the same elementary school for 5.5 years. I went to a different school for kindergarten. We moved. For 5.5 years, I was in the same elementary school. All of those kids, we went to junior high together, where we were joined by 5 other elementary schools. All those kids in my junior high went to high school together with no new kids other than, transfers. And I was not seen. Now, people liked me well enough. I live in the town I went to school in. I know plenty of people from school and that have become better friends as an adult. But you can still meet those kids in other ways. Remember, you send your kid to public school, those kids don't necessarily hold their interests. No, they don't. You know what? I studied Israeli history and Israeli government, and I have one friend that I can think of who studied that at all. So much so she's gone on to be like a political columnist, and she does homeland security stuff now as an adult. But I had one. I had a graduating class of like 650. One. A lot of things go running through my mind, so I'm trying to organize my thoughts. But it may not do what you think it does. But you go, okay, Jackie, so my kid still doesn't know how to make friends and still doesn't have any friends. Be intentional. I'm not saying that you shouldn't meet those public school kids. I'm not saying you shouldn't go do activities. I'm just saying I don't think putting your kid in public school may solve that problem. It may cause some new habits you don't really like in order to get friends to. Instead, why don't you go down to your local library? And if you've got teenagers, put them in teen council. If you have elementary school kids, one, of course, get involved in a homeschool group. We struggled. There was homeschool choir, homeschool science, there's youth groups, there was sports leagues, there was Awana, there was so many things going on, but you had to really look for it and be intentional. But let's say your area doesn't have a lot of that. What do you have? Well, you have a library. And those libraries have reading times, game times, and they have activities. You have your local church or synagogue, and your children's groups through that, youth groups, elementary school, whatever age. You also have, and yes, you may have to pay a little bit of money, you also have different interest groups, meaning like if your kid wants to go play soccer, they can meet some kids there. And then you, the parent, which you're going to have to do even if your kid goes to public school, need to be intentional about helping them set up play dates. You need to teach them how to be a friend. Teach them how to engage. Oh, you really wish you had somebody to play with? Who have you asked to play? Introduce them to those kids in your neighborhood. Don't feel like you know them? Well, maybe you need to make some cookies and go meet some people. Maybe you want to host a little front yard Saturday afternoon party and you put it in your neighborhood Facebook group, or just knock on some doors and tell them. You guys can do fun activities out front and have a time of like, you know what? We want to get to know each other. Let's go outside and play. You just need to be intentional about that. And the other thing that helps, though, is you're not abandoning your child to be alone with a giant group of unknown children. My kids did fine in social circumstances. And yes, I left them at church by themselves, but that was a very manageable, very chaperoned group versus I think about recess when I was in elementary school. And yeah, there was a teacher outside, but she couldn't see out what was going on. And so you're going to give them a little bit more oversight, but be intentional. Find yourself a friend who has kids, and plan activities together. That's what I did when my kids were little. There were some of us who homeschooled at our church, and we would do different things. Now, I am not the creative parent, but one of my friends was, and she would do like President's Day parties where they'd all make like mini cherry pies and stuff. You can do things like that. Another thing is, as your kids get older, decide how comfortable you are with online stuff. And I'm going to tell you, online friendship's real friendship. I know I'm a blogger and vlogger, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I have a lot of friends who are online in different places. But even my children, a 19-year-old has been on Discord servers for years. And a Discord server is a closed server. You only can find it if you're invited, depending on how people do it. I have a Discord channel that's public, and it's down at the bottom if you want to like learn how to do it, which means anyone who sees the link can join. But my son's been part of like local homeschool Discord servers, or even he really likes Minecraft, and he did this Zelda thing with a bunch of people, to the point that he is on a server with a bunch of other people who share his faith, and he's known them for years. They've got prayer groups. They meet on voice calls and do prayer groups every so often. And he even had an in-person retreat in Texas like 2 months ago. So online servers may be the way to do it. I know for myself, I'm so odd or nuanced, if we want to sound fancy, that being online for me helped me find my people. I thought I was the only, and it made me feel lonely. And I found girl geeks, girl nerds. I found people who like productivity, people who just are very accepting of my like quirkiness. Whereas like my public school, the quirky people were there. We just didn't find each other until we were adults, and decided to quit hiding it because there was a lot of peer pressure. I'll just say that. And I went to a pretty good school, but there's a lot of peer pressure to fit in. And if you didn't fit in, which I did not, with my Coke bottle glasses and my Star of David and my cross. I don't want to fight about Christians and Judaism right now, but that's part of my identity. I did not fit in. We'll just say that. And I found with my children homeschooling, they could find their people and they weren't forced to hang out 8 hours a day with people who weren't their people. They learned how to socialize with all types of people, including adults, because we would also go volunteer. Volunteering is a great way to meet people with common goals and thoughts and minds. And you're doing something good. But no, I don't think if that's the only reason you want to put your child in school, I don't think that's the right reason. And I don't think it'll necessarily turn out the way you think. I encourage you to reach out to people like me and other people for resources and groups and ways to be in contact with people of your child's age and other ages. Their good friend may end up being 3 or 4 years older than them, depending on your child. or younger. You never know. I hope this helps. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.